Welcome, everybody, to All Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Buffalo's premier market and tap room. 7 different Western New York locations with over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure you get over to Fatty Beer. Let them know the boys from Two Goalies One Mike sent you, one of Western New York's only kid and dog-friendly bars with live entertainment, both trivia, live bands, whatever, floats your boat. They have it over at Fatty Beer. And, of course, Buffalo Logo Apparel Company, Buffalo's best spot for your Sabres, Bills, Bandits, Bisons, whatever your need might be for a Buffalo sports. They also support a lot of local businesses. Make sure you go to Buffalo Logo for all your shirts, hats, and hoodies. Let them know the boys from Two Goalies One Mike sent you. We gave away one of these after the last game, the Buffalo Trucker NHL Shield hat. And we had a giveaway tonight contingent on the Sabres winning. We dropped the Return of the Levi shirt and hoodie for what could have been a lucky follower. But unfortunately, the Sabres couldn't pull this one out, losing 3-2 in a shootout. Hurls, I was at the game. You took over the thread for tonight. But, you obviously hear a lot of the in-game commentary. What were some of the things that were being talked about in-game that I might not have been hearing? And obviously, they didn't really show many replays of that hit or whatever you want to call it, the Robinson boarding call that got him tossed out of the game and I gave him a 5-minute power play. But just what were you seeing opposite of what I was seeing?
I thought they deserved to win tonight. I really do think that they played really well. 47 shots on goal. I'm not sure how many Montreal had, but I thought overall they played a really, really good game. And Caden Primo had another really good night, similar to how Jake Allen did the last time the Sabres played the Canadiens at home.
I remember that all too well.
They have a habit of making goalies look good, but I don't necessarily think that's mutually exclusive of the goalies also really playing well. Caden Primo had a lot of really good saves tonight. He's not the most well-known goalie, but he's also not necessarily inexperienced. They were talking on the broadcast how at one point in 2022 or 2021, they were doing a rotation of Jake Allen, Montembeault, and Caden Primo. So it's not like he is a super inexperienced goalie. I had no idea that he was also a Northeastern guy. So It was a Northeastern, non-Northeastern goalie matchup tonight. And I also thought Devin Levi played really well. He had 1 point, I think 4 goals saved above expected tonight. So he played better than he should have. I would say that. So that wasn't the issue. I think we know what the issue is, and it's the power play.
Talk a lot about that, that's for sure.
It's the power play, and it's going to continue to be the power play until they figure out a tangible way to change it. And I think we can talk about some ideas. We can talk about a variety of different things, but if you go 0 for 6 compared to, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 penalties that penalty kills or power plays that the Canadiens had, you should win the game. You should do anything you possibly can to get the puck to the front of the net and give yourself the best position to win the game. And they didn't do that tonight. So it is what it is, but being down 2-0 going into the third and getting a point out of it is a tiny moral victory and hopefully something they can build on.
Yeah, from here from Mauricio, Sabres power play too much passing, 5-on-3, 5-on-4. Middlestat and Powers need to be selfish. I couldn't agree more on that. Would have been, because the goalie switch ends in overtime too, correct?
I think so. I'm almost positive they did.
Middlestat had a glorious chance. I can't remember if it was that very last power play. If it was earlier on the third period. Middlestat had a glorious chance, like right in front of Primo. Just him and Primo. And he tried to force a pass and got stripped of the puck and back out of the zone it went. Just like I again.
Matt Ellis, baby. Well, have we confirmed that Matt Ellis is the guy?
I don't think anybody fucking knows who's running the power play. I don't even know if John Granado knows who's running the power play.
I responded to a Brian Colzio tweet tonight about that. Like, do we actually tangibly know that Matt Ellis is the one running the power play? Because if we do, then at least we can direct our
anger at him. Yeah,
somebody. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to yell at Matt Ellis no matter what because he shouldn't be behind an NHL bench.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too, but at the same time, we should be able as fans to know who is responsible for this ineptitude.
I mean, you got Wilford, you got Christie, you got Matt Ellis. I mean,
who's Christie?
I don't know, but I don't know any
I
of
don't
these
know
guys
who
other
the
than Matt
coaches
Ellis.
are on this team, but there's so much skill. I saw someone respond to you, and it's a good point. They're putting Dylan Cousins on the right side of the
Just
power
from
play.
cricket whistle, yep.
And that gives him absolutely zero opportunity to obviously have a one-timer or get the puck to the net in that situation and slowing it down. I think their main issue is they're not getting the puck to the house. The house is the figurative lines that are created 2 feet to the right of each post. You go to the top of the circles and you create a diagonal.
Danger zone.
Danger exactly. Zone. A diagonal roof in between the 2 circles. Figuratively, it looks like a house, but I think it's something like over 65% of the goals in the NHL are scored from that area. And on the power play, there's way too much of them passing the puck around the outside, not getting it to the front of the net into the area when you can score the goal. No opportunity for deflections, rebounds, dirty goals, anything tangible for that type of creation. And it's absolutely killing them.
Yeah, and you want to know what? I'm just typing something out right here. Brian Kozdale made a good point. He beat me to it because I was going to tweet it out, but I was racing back home to get here. The Sabres were just way too relaxed on that power play at the end of regulation. They do realize that Montreal is in the same division as them, right? You just don't want to hand them points if you don't have to. You need to play with more urgency and shoot more. You just handed Montreal a team that you could. I'm not sure where they are in the standings with Buffalo, but the team you could just be competing with for a playoff spot. You just want to hand them a point. Why would you just want to hand them a point? You have the power play with some urgency, shoot the puck. Not everything has to look pretty. You don't have to always try and open up Tage for that shot. It's just it's so blatantly obvious that's what you're trying to do at all times is to get Tage the puck for that one-time opportunity. It's time to put Olsen on that opposite side. He's earned that opportunity.
Or your leading goal scorer, JJ Peterka.
That too.
Do anybody other than Dylan Cousins, because clearly he can't score a goal to save his life. That's not working. I know maybe you put him on the power play to try to get him going a little bit, but it hasn't worked.
The little backhand move he has when he gets a breakaway. That's looking really good, man.
It hasn't worked. So they need to change. They need to change something. And it would be a disservice if they didn't. Even the penalty kill hasn't been as good, obviously, without Jordan Greenway. So that is also an issue. The special teams in general are killing this team. They have been all season. Aside from the penalty kill started off really good, but it's taken a hit when Greenway and Tage went out. And it will ultimately be the reason they don't make the playoffs, in my opinion, if they cannot get this power play going. Partially the reason they were so good last season is because they had a top 5 power play unit. And Tage was obviously doing his thing on the left half wall, and nobody could stop it. And Jeff Skinner was getting a lot of goals in front of that, as was Alex Tuck. But injuries, obviously, every big team deals with them. The Sabres are dealing with it right now. And it's not going to get any easier until Tuck, Quinn, and Greenway come back. And even if they come back, you're not just going to –
Tuck hurts a lot.
You're not automatically going to solve the power play. Even when they had Tuck, the power play was really bad. And there is a very, very crucial aspect to this power play that has not changed the entire season, as we discussed. They're passing the puck around the outside of the zone and not getting it to the net. And shots are blocked. Montreal did a really good job tonight of getting their sticks in passing lanes because I think they have an idea that's all the Sabres do. As you said, it's really, really frustrating because there's so much open ice. There's so much skill and ceiling for creativity that they're not using at all. They have so much potential, but it looks so stagnant. It looks like something you would see in a beer league, honestly. When I'm in the net in a beer league penalty kill, I can kind of know what's going to happen because they're just passing the puck around the outside because they have the ability to do it when they wouldn't have previously in the game. And it's so frustrating. Do something.
Yeah, it looks like confusion, just indecisiveness. It looks like literally they're just not prepared to run a power play. It's just somebody just has to be decisive and start shooting the puck. even on a bad angle. I don't care. Like you as a goalie, I know as a goalie, no. Even if you're on a bad angle, throw a puck at a goalie's feet. It's a fucking chaotic.
It doesn't even feel like when they throw like a weak shot on net that it's even at risk of being deflected or even like screened.
I know.
Like my biggest fear on a power play, even in beer league, is that I can't see the puck. It's because constantly somebody's in front of
you. You are not getting enough men in front of the opposing goaltender.
Really so simple. Take the goalie's eyes away. Get a dirty goal. We talked about it earlier in the year, and then they started doing it for a little bit, but it hasn't happened much recently. I mean, maybe you could consider that Connor Clifton goal. I mean, the Oposo goal created by Connor Clifton to be a little bit.
That was beautiful too, by the way.
A little bit of a dirty goal, yeah, because he took his opportunity to forecheck and created a turnover, got the puck on net, good rebound. Oposo, I thought was great tonight. I really do. I thought he had a really good game. He threw a lot of hits. Get a lot of opportunities. I thought Clifton was just as good as he was against the Bruins, so that's a good sign. Isaac Rosén played 4 minutes tonight, so I don't know what you're doing there. You bring a guy up.
God bless his soul. Congrats on 600 points. But there, again, Kyle Okposo on the ice on that second power play.
I mean, I don't necessarily think he should be on there in second, but I really do. Believe he was one of the Sabres' best forwards tonight.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that, but when push comes to shove, game's in the line. Like, even in overtime there, like, he's on the ice. Like,
yeah. I mean,
even though that came probably Buffalo's best opportunity.
Like, weirdly, I do think he earned it tonight. So I think it's kind of a game-by-game basis with him. I don't think he deserves to be on the second power play unit, and it's kind of a liability. But I think tonight he actually did play really well. So,
yeah.
It's something they have to, like, alarm level, smash the panic button, figure out. Because if they don't, they're going to miss the playoffs. So,
Okposo, Benson, Cousins need to have more finesse, goal touch, too many missed opportunities. Cousins played horribly in overtime turnovers. I was screaming about that. They're witnessing it. We didn't deserve to lose this one. No, we did not, Dylan. This team makes me sick. Levi played great from Dylan again, and then from Kevin. I am not happy with Middlestad's game lately. Yeah, a guy just not putting the puck. I mean, actually, no. He scored last game, didn't he?
Well, 2 games ago.
2 games ago,
yeah. I will say this. He needs to shoot. We've talked about it a lot. He needs to shoot more. That is the one aspect of his game that has never been there. He needs to shoot the puck.
Yeah.
But I caught myself at many moments throughout this game marveling at the passes that he makes and how good he is with the puck, especially on the boards, and the chances that he creates. So I think he's a way more positive player than he is a negative player, but he does need to shoot the puck more.
So a question from Chris Durek. Slavkovsky stopped in the shootout, and if what happened in the Boston game with Okposo was goalie interference, why wasn't that interference on Slavkovsky in the shootout? I mean, it happened, and I honestly, God, I was kind of not watching because I was nervous, but, like, can you get any clarity on that, Hurls? Like, did he make contact with Levi? Or?
I think it was simultaneous. I do. I think it was relative. He was in the process of making his move, I think, when he did make contact with him. Mm-hmm. You can bring it up if you want, and we can break it down. But I saw it twice. I would have to look at it again to be sure. But I do believe that in the process of making his move, he beat him. Like, he clearly beat him with that move.
Oh, it was a great move. It was
a
great
move. That's what I'm saying.
He's a first overall pick for a reason. It's not like he let he let Matt Ellis score on him.
Super skilled guy. I do think that the contact was simultaneous, though. That's the best answer I can give without seeing it again. And with Levi, like, people are giving him shit for the shootout. Shootouts are tough. He's been largely really good in shootouts up until this point in his career. And I think that it's a tough position to be in, especially in his second game back from being in the AHL. He had a shootout win in the AHL. It's just more so like it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Like, you never really know. Cole Caulfield is one of the most skilled players in the entire NHL. Juraj Slavkovsky was a number 1 overall pick. He stopped Nick Suzuki. And the other guy that scored, it was a good move. So it kind of is what it is. It's so funny that Victor Olofsson and Owen Power scored on the exact same moves that they've used in the past.
Yeah.
It's really super impressive.
Were you surprised when they brought out Owen Power as a second shooter?
I wasn't because that move is specifically very hard to stop. Like, you saw Caden Primo's reaction. You might not have. he like looked up into the air and smashed his stick on the ground as if like he just got like bamboozled.
Yeah.
That it's something that I think is like a wrinkle in the shootout. And I think he moves backwards when he does it. I really do think he does, which is another thing you can bring up. At the end of the day, this discussion goes back to the shootouts are fucking stupid.
I hate the shootout. It should be a 10-minute 3-on-3.
It should not decide a game. And there's so many little wrinkles. If you're moving forward, if you're moving back, everything about it is so subjective. So you can't.
And speaking of that, I mean, at this point, I mean, how are we not doing a 10-minute 3-on-3? I mean, it's been talked about for I don't know how long. Also, I want to talk about. I'm kind of sick and tired of just awarding loser points. I mean, I say awarding loser points, but there should be more of a reward for regulation wins, in my opinion. Like getting like 3-2-1 point system. I've been all about
3-2-1.
Yeah, 3-2-1. Been all about it for a long time. Also, when we had when that power play ended in overtime, why are you not? I mean, don't you think you're the better team 3-on-3? I would have loved to have seen us throw it on our own bench just to get a face off, or even in their bench just to go 3-on-3, open things up a little bit.
Tough to actually do that though. You know what I mean?
I know.
So that is tough. It's funny that the NHL, the only rule that they're considering changing for the overtime is instituting some type of like red line in rule that like you can't go past your own red line in the process of like trying to like regroup and gather the puck. That's the only rule that I've seen them make. So they clearly have no idea what they're doing. And we've talked about Gary Bettman before. I think Gary Bettman knows as much about the game of hockey as the casual fan. So we have no faith at all that anything is going to be changed because he doesn't care.
From Alex Layer here, Levi won the first beam pot to be decided by shootout.
Won a game last week.
He's been a very good shootout goaltender.
Yeah.
I haven't lost faith of him in the shootout. Like,
no,
I'm in another group chat where, you know, the first reaction is like, wow, Levi sucks. It's like, no, he doesn't. Like, he's like, honestly, he's the only reason we got that game into overtime. Like, you know, some of the
made a lot of really good saves,
really difficult saves. And then they just forgot who was that had that breakaway in the third at the very end. We just forgot that he got behind the defenseman. He just hanging out back there. Levi, he just shot it, quick pad save. Levi was out being aggressive.
It might have been Dvorak, but yeah. Either way, he did a really good job of challenging tonight and being on top of his crease, and obviously being square to the shooter, but also deflecting rebounds to corners, covering up rebounds, getting across his crease as quick as he does. Obviously, his athleticism is one of his best traits. I thought he was great tonight. I really do.
Yep.
So you cannot put this game on him. Sabres outshot the Canadiens by, I think it had to be at least 15.
And you got to stop waiting till the third period to start scoring goals.
And wake up.
Mario Noof, go down 2-0 and go 0 for 5. I think it might have even been 0 for 6 on the power play.
0 for 6.
Was it 0 for 6?
Yeah, it was 0 for 6.
For fuck's sake, sick of the boys club coaching. That's a nice reference to the fact that I think this is essentially the same assistants that Ralph Kruger might have had. I could be wrong when he was here. And then I think like Granato just kind of, inherited it. We all know why Matt Ellis is there, him and Kevin Adams from their Harbor Center days, the Academy of Hockey, Mr. 13U. And I think that Granato is tight with one of the other two assistants. But again, whoever that one isn't, the other guy is, I think, another one that's been inherited from the previous regime. And then obviously Dan Girardi just hanging out on his lazy boy in Ontario, watching this game.
Now that I know who Marty Walford is, every time I see him in that godforsaken haircut, I continue to question his path to an NHL coaching bench.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Who is this man? What is his story? Where did he come from?
Yeah, who is Marty Wolford? Like, honestly, like I'm really starting to think, because it just doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
Like, who is this person?
I know. Like, who is this guy? him and his god awful haircut. But stepping away from that for a second, like I'm looking at this coaching staff as a whole. Was Pekka not brought in to be on the bench? Was it really? I know people talk, but like, could it really be a thing that maybe Granato just didn't want that pressure of a guy who could replace him like that if push came to shove? Like, could that be a real thing? Because I just look at this coaching staff, like, tell me who was more qualified to be on an NHL bench of these three guys and to not have Michael Pekka there. Explain to me.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't at all. And I mean that you could say that for sure. Like I don't necessarily think that like Don Granato is running like a dictatorship. I don't think he is like blocking people's paths to the bench in the process of like protecting his own job security. He doesn't seem like that type of guy. But at the end of the day, like he did work pretty hard to get to an NHL head coaching job himself. So I don't know. I really have no idea.
Just make it make sense to me, Hurls.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It doesn't.
I just don't.
Like, given the fact that we don't know who these guys are, let alone like what their. I guess we could probably try to figure out like what their history was prior to this and like what qualified them to be an NHL assistant coach. I'm gonna try to do that. Actually, I'm gonna try to.
We gotta have like a deep an expose of the Sabres bench. We really need to get the bottom of this.
In between now and next game, I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to.
Who's got pictures?
I'm going to figure out
pictures of Kevin Adams and his skivvies somewhere where he's not supposed to be.
It
doesn't make a ton of sense to me why these guys are behind an NHL bench.
I'm going to figure out Marty's life path. I'm going to figure out what.
Got to find his barber first. They tell their barbers.
No. This information should be readily available. And I do think I'm going to be able to figure out before next game. I'm going to figure out Marty, Wolford or whatever his last name is. I'm going to see what he did to get on an NHL bench, and then I'll report.
Actually just coming in from Robert Seagrave here. Ellis is running the power play. Wilford is penalty kill per Harrington.
Shout out Mike Harrington. Mike Harrington gets answers.
He does, man. He's not afraid to get answers.
Mike Harrington.
I love Mike. People don't like him. I like Mike because you want to know what? Love him or hate him, man. He's the guy. He's the asshole in the room. He's not afraid to ruffle feathers, and he's not afraid to ask the questions that everybody else in that room is afraid to ask. He's not afraid to get people pissed.
So we have a legitimate gripe with Matt Ellis now, which is good.
Yeah. Good. Oh my God. If that's true, if he is running the power play, you're damn right. We got a fucking legitimate gripe with that.
This is something we can build on. If this continues, if he's still on the bench in 2024, then as our wonderful commenters say, like this is a boys club.
In 9 NHL seasons, Matt Ellis had 1 power play point.
Let's go.
But he's running ours. He's running it into the ground. Matt Ellis, Mr. 13 fucking U.
I think
get him a jersey. Get him a Sabres jersey that says 13 U on the back. He can have 13 and then a giant fucking U because that's what you were coaching before you came to the NHL. Before you were put on an NHL bench, you were coaching 13U. Explain to me how that works. Explain to me how that guy is qualified to be on an NHL bench, but Michael Pekka, who ran the Junior Sabres for over a decade, did multiple years with Rochester as an assistant and did a year of a development with the Washington Capitals. He's not qualified to be behind your bench, but sure as shit, fucking Matt Ellis running your power play, running your forwards. No, I mean, God, who knows? You look at all the struggles that Dylan Cousins is having right now. In no way could have Michael Peck, a 2-time Selke winner, a former captain, could have, bestowed his massive amount of knowledge from his time in the NHL on a guy like Dylan Cousins, who we've compared to Michael Pekka I don't know how many damn times. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. It's really depressing. I mean, I guess we'll see, right? Like if they don't right this ship somehow, and even if they do, I don't think it's going to be Matt Ellis that
is the reason that they did.
At least he could potentially hide behind it. But I think the talent eventually will be the cream that come to the top.
So yeah, it's really disappointing. I just think that this is legitimately going to be the thing that kills this team, and it has been thus far. And if they don't figure it out, like they can't win 2 games in a row, as we've discussed. And if they can't win 2 games in a row, they're not even going to come close to making the playoffs. So
I'm going to get a Sabres jersey made. It's going to say Matt Allis' full name on the nameplate, and it's literally going to have 13U as the number. Because why not? I think people would dig that. Even if I'm the only one that wears it, I just can't deal with it anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
We got the Coyotes at home on Tuesday.
And they're a good hockey team.
It feels like a loss.
They're a good hockey team, too. Like,
they've been playing
that is
so
a
well.
good team.
They came back and almost beat the Bruins today. They had a stretch last couple of weeks where they beat the past 5 Stanley Cup champions all in a row. They have so much talent, so much skill. That feels like a game we're going to be down 2-0 in the first period for sure.
Bet on it. Down 2-0 right off the rip.
Which sucks because like they actually did play well tonight. They really did.
Like they deserve to win. They played well in almost all facets of the game except for fucking the power play. Like that is literally could be the difference between this team. Them not being able to figure out the power play, their special teams, could be the difference between them making the playoffs and them not making the playoffs. Because I don't think goaltending has been the issue this year. Defensive woes, yes, absolutely. Team defense, yes. It seems over the last two games they've addressed that. Hopefully they've got that going in the right direction permanently. But if you can't figure out how to score on the power play consistently, even if it's going for like 1 for 4 or 1 for 5 every game, it's still better than going 0 for 5 or 0 for 6. You're not going to make the playoffs. There's no chance, no shot.
No. Quick discussion about the Eric Robinson hit.
Absolutely, because it was getting heated a little bit in our group chat during the game.
We had some debate, and the discussion essentially was that some people thought that it was really dirty and it was deserving of a 5-minute major in misconduct. And I myself thought that it was a 2-minute boarding call at the most.
It wasn't a 5-minute. If you saw what Evander Kane did last night, which didn't receive a penalty, and then you're going to call that a 5-minute major, that's insanity.
Yeah, Mike Harrington actually asked Kyle Okposo about it, and Kyle Okposo said that himself. A 14-year veteran of the NHL. I think he kind of knows what he's talking about. He said that it's insanity that they called a game misconduct on Eric Robinson for what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to let the defenseman just have a unimpeded puck retrieval? Defenseman,
I don't get that.
That defenseman saw him coming. He hit him on his side. Someone in our chat mentioned his arm was on his back. It wasn't. It was not on his back. He hit him on his side. He had the puck, and his stick was on the ice going for the puck. And the defenseman saw him coming, fell into the boards, and yes, he got hurt, but that's his own fault. Like, it was an unfortunate result of which may have been a boarding call, a 2-minute boarding call.
I'll agree that it was a 2-minute call, but not a 5-minute.
Maybe that was a
major in a game misconduct.
But it's so incredibly soft and such a bad call in relation to all of the other calls that we see. In comparison, that is tangibly and literally what it is. Like it's just a bad fucking call, and it's really frustrating. And now everybody's all up Eric Robinson's ass after he had a very good game against the Bruins, and he started to have a very good game against the Canadiens tonight. Like that's not his fault. What is he supposed to do? He's forechecking.
Yeah, I do want to say this too. A lot of Buffalo's grade A scoring chances came because of a solid forecheck, a second game in a row. Not giving Montreal a ton of time to make decisions in the defensive zone, forcing turnovers, much like the Clifton play that forced the turnover to Okposo to score the game-tying goal. Keep that up. 5-on-5 because it's working. You know, sending 2 men in on the forecheck, it is working. Keep it up, and you'll continue to score more 5-on-5. I don't know what to tell you about, on the power play, but at least on 5-on-5, you guys are getting it. You're figuring it out. You're getting the opportunities. You would have liked to have scored earlier than the third period, yes, because, I mean, you had shots were 17-6 after the first. I'm not sure what they were after the second, but I know we ended up having 48 total. Yeah, I love the forecheck the Sabres have 5-on-5. It's working.
I mean, the compete, as Granato said, like the compete is there. Like I think there is some desperation, and they need to play with desperation the rest of the season, as the
Agreed.
Bills do. Like their backs are against the wall. They've created this situation for themselves, and I think you've kind of seen it the past 2 games, especially after those four games that they lost. I think they understand that these games really do matter, and by the end of the December, if they're not within 2 wins or 2 games or 2 points or 4 points of a wild card spot, it could get early. As we said earlier in the season, it can get early real quick. It can get late really early if you're not in position in January or February. So there's got to be desperation every single game, and at least they've shown that. So now they got to put the puck in the net, and hopefully getting Jack Quinn and Alex Tuck back will go a long way towards that.
Yep. Some more quotes here from Brian Koziel after the game from Granato on last 2 games. We've absolutely played a lot different, more physicality, more aggressive, more scrums, better shot mentality. We need more aggressive traits. The process was better, but the result was frustrating. Again, the forecheck, an aggressive forecheck. We saw a lot of scrums tonight, a fight with Connor Clifton that ended up getting tossed into the game. Love that. I think Connor Clifton 2 games in a row has played his best games as a Sabre. Yeah. He blocked in that first period.
If he plays like this, he's what we signed.
Yep. In that second period, I'm not sure if it was, I think we were killing the penalty. He blocked like 3 shots on the penalty kill, and he was nursing something with his hand off the very last one, where he could barely grip his stick. I mean, he's looked great these past 2 games, and if you get that more from Connor Clifton, then yeah, sign me up. Good signing. I would have liked to have a better effort from Eric Johnson on that first goal to tie up the man who eventually deflected the puck.
I would have liked Eric Johnson to be in the press box tonight, and Ryan Johnson to be
Ryan
playing.
Johnson, correct. I also agree with you there. More from Granato, if you give me one moment here. We had our chances, plenty of chances to score more than 2. We just didn't do it. From Granato says the power play needs more direct play, more decisive play, get shots quicker. That could have been a difference maker. Yeah, no shit, Donnie. Looking for more post-game comments. Koziel's always like all over this stuff. I love it. Tweeting out the post-game comments. Levi says these past 2 games are ones you want to have. You are ones you want to be in as a player. You're thriving in it. The crowds have been unbelievable. It brought the competitor out of us. Levi says he has to be better in the shootout. Back to the drawing board. I like that. He's taking accountability, even though I don't think we can even say this was his fault. Like, you can't blame a goalie for a shootout, in my opinion. Like, unless they're just like god awful goals where he's off his angle, giving up the entire glove side, don't even have a chance, or just giving up a straight on shot. Like, I can't ever put it on a goalie. I can't. Skinner says he's not looking for moral victories, but he says the way they played tonight, he'd take his chances with more games like this. Poso says he's confused that Evander and Kane got nothing last night, and Robinson gets 5 in a game night. It doesn't make sense. Couldn't agree with him more. And the Sabres had 11 minutes and 15 seconds of power play time with 0 goals. More from Okposo. I think we have an intent, and it's very specific. Those 2 games are as close to it as we've had all year. Okposo, it hurts not to get the win, but I think we can agree that the last 2 games looks a little different than the previous 25. I quote tweeted this one earlier. 5-on-4. 0 for 5 out of 7 minutes and 56 seconds of power play time on 5-on-4. When you were 5-on-3, you went 0 for 2 for 45 seconds. 4-on-3, you went 0 for 2 for 2 minutes and 34 seconds. That is inexcusable, and somebody has to start answering for that. Maybe start throwing your fucking assistants out there and start answering questions. Because explain this to me. You're Don Granato. Explain to me why you aren't getting better results out of your power play. What's wrong? Like at this point, I feel like at this point, this is almost like the equivalent of when the Bills fired Dorsey for their offensive struggles. Like, it's hurting. It is making a difference between winning and losing. Tonight it was. It absolutely was. So why are we still sitting here having the same conversation about coaches and who's running the power play? Like, why aren't changes being made?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So I hope something happens, because if it doesn't, then this is gonna be the same story every single time. So I really hope they do something to change it, because right now it's obviously not working.
How many times have the Sabres fallen behind by multiple goals before scoring themselves? That's an interesting stat we can look into before next time we go live. Yeah, I agree.
Feels like
more than
half of the games this season. Probably they've played like 30 games. I bet it's been like 12 different times.
Yep, I agree. I mean, I don't know. It sucks, man. I was at that game. The atmosphere was electric. I mean, I know there's a lot of.
Well, what percentage of the 100 level do you think was Canadiens fans?
Oh, it was definitely a higher percentage Canadiens in the 100 level. I mean, for sure. As expected, that's the way it always is.
I was just.
It dissipates as you get higher.
Yeah, I was wondering. It on TV, it looked like it was a Canadiens home game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it dissipated as it got higher, more and more Sabres fans as you got up into the 300 level. I would say it was probably 50-50 or 55-45 in favor of Montreal, I would say, in terms of overall attendance. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. Just being there and looking at it, seeing all the red and white jerseys. I don't know. But it was an electric atmosphere. You know, and I know one thing I noticed too. I know he's a Montreal kid, but they were clapping when Levi was making saves. Like Montreal fans, they all know that he's a local hometown kid. I think they were happy for him, happy to see him play, happy to see him play well. There were a lot of fans and clapping and cheering him when Levi made saves. Maybe not at the end where he made that enormous, coast to coast split toe save on Caulfield, but I think they were pretty proud of the kid from Quebec tonight, putting forth a great effort and playing very well.
Yeah, he was amazing. I think Rochester did him a lot of good, and I think as UPL comes back, I do think that it potentially could continue to do him good. I think he needs games. He needs time. He needs development. He needs to not sit on a bench if UPL is going to be the starter. So I don't know what the illness was, but if he is back and he is healthy and he continues to play well, I think UPL still deserves the starter's net. I really do. I think that hopefully that happens Tuesday and he plays well, and this does give Levi the proper time to continue to work on his game. I think this was the best thing that could have happened for him. He needs shots. He needs pro level shots, and he needs to get into a rhythm, which is like he was at Northeastern, like he probably was in juniors. He needs to play 2 to 3 times a week, and that's not going to happen as an NHL backup or even as a 1A, 1B in the NHL. It's just not going to happen. So I hope they handle this intelligently, because if not, then they could run into a situation where they're playing too much or too little, and that hurts his development. So as you saw tonight, the ceiling is really high with him, and it's going to be high as long as they handle it correctly. But I don't really trust them to handle it correctly.
From the Black Knight, 76-57, Don Granado looks like a math teacher, and even then I would trust my math teacher more than him. Yeah.
Bad analogy.
Yeah, I would not a bad analogy at all.
I mean, I would I put Don Granado a little bit above Sean McDermott in my Buffalo coach rankings at this point.
For this week, I would
say it's kind of saying that it's saying something that they're not that far off right now. Some of the decisions Granado has made with the lineup, and obviously he may not be running the power play, but he's the head coach, so he has his finger in everything. It's getting old really quickly.
Yep. It's costing you games, man. It's costing you games. Cost us tonight, in my opinion. I think you can point to the lack of execution on the power play as the reason you lost tonight. because that game should have never gotten to overtime. You had 45 seconds of 5-on-3 time. It was actually might have been more than that. I think it was more than that.
Yeah, it was about 55, I think.
Yeah. 4-on-3 time, plenty of 5-on-4 time, some 4-on-3. It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. And at what point do you finally decide to make a change on your bench? And I don't know what has to be done, but something has to be done, man. I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Other than what we discussed, not really. They have a tough stretch coming up here through the middle and end of December.
They got their West Coast trip coming up.
Yeah. Obviously, it's crazy we're saying must wins in December, but that's the position they put themselves in.
Yeah.
So, same with the Bills tomorrow. It's a must win Tuesday against the Coyotes, which is crazy to say, but I think that they've at least played better past 2 games. Having Tage back is obviously a huge, huge factor in that. And you just need to keep the boat above water until Tuck, Greenway, and Quinn come back, because you add those 3 to your lineup, and this is a much better.
Didn't Donnie say they were close to being back? At least Tuck, I believe.
I think all of them, what is it, December 8th, December 9th? I think all of them will be back before we reach the 20s of December. I do.
Okay.
So that's like a week and a half for all of them. Maybe not Quinn. They might be waiting until the end of the year, but they tweeted out this week that he didn't have a non-contact jersey at practice. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction, and that means that his Achilles is probably really close to being healed. If he took the Aaron Rodgers method, he would have been back 3 months ago. So I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what they were thinking on that one. I'm actually just kidding, because Aaron Rodgers is not going to play this season.
Yeah.
But
conspiracy theory, Rodgers really hurt his Achilles in the offseason.
Aaron Rodgers is the worst. So I don't need to give him
Hall of Fame quarterback, first ballot.
Any more attention that he already craves himself. But they played well tonight. They deserved to win. They couldn't score, and that's been a theme of the season. So
I couldn't agree with you more. I think with this road trip that we're getting ready to go on, especially out west, how you play there is going to dictate what this season will be, right? Like, I think if you go, how many games are on it? 4?
I think
you go, is it 3?
I think it's 3.
We don't go to Vegas in this one?
So it is Avs, Vegas, and Coyotes.
And we come back. I think we got Toronto coming up too.
Columbus and then Toronto at home.
So in those 5 games, if you go 1 for 4, say, worst case scenario, I think at that point I think I hate saying this, man, but I think Terry probably wants to deflect as much away from the Bills as possible. Maybe he would fire the entire coaching staff just to distract people from Buffalo from what's going on with the Bills.
Terry is not going to do anything. It's got to be Kevin Adams. I think that if you go 0 against the Coyotes on the power play and lose, then that's reason to fire somebody.
Yeah, somebody's got to get fired.
So
couldn't agree with you more. But that's my final thought. These next 5 games, 3 on the West Coast, then Columbus and Toronto. Toronto you beat earlier this season. It was a Levi game, 5-4, I believe it was, 5-4, 6-4. A team that just lost their starting goaltender. Not really sure, what they're going to do to address that. I think they still have Samsonov.
Yeah.
They lost. Well, I'm not sure how serious of an injury that was. Looked like it'd probably be in the long term, right?
A high ankle sprain, so it'll be a few weeks.
Yeah. Can we fire Marty's haircut? Yeah, both of them gone. I'm gonna
do my homework on Marty.
I gotta get a picture of this guy. I gotta really get a good look at this haircut.
I'm gonna figure out this guy's backstory.
Yeah, but if we go like 1 for 4, God forbid 0 for 5, like heads are gonna have to roll.
I wouldn't be surprised if Donnie was gone in that case.
Yeah, or you just go 0 for 3 on this road trip. Like
Seth Appert to the National.
Do you think they would do that? You don't think they would like?
No, for sure.
You think it'd be Seth? You don't think it would be one of the assistants?
No,
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Matt Ellis.
Dude, I will tell you, I will burn shit to the ground if they
Yeah.
announced they fired
would-
Don
it
Granato
would be-
and promoted Matt Ellis to interim head coach.
It would be Seth Appert.
I would hope so. With that being said, everybody, this has been another installment of I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Buffalo's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations, open from 11:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. and later, 7 days a week. Live entertainment and music at all their locations. You can definitely check out a lot of holiday festivities they're running right now. They do trivia at all their locations. Great drink deals, especially their downtown location, 5 Genesee Street, at every Sabres game day for a home game. If you're a Mug Club member, you get 2-for-1 drafts. Don't forget, Buffalo is Buffalo's best spot for all of your Sabres, Bills, and Buffalo sports needs when it comes to shirts, hats, hoodies, all your apparel. They have some great stuff, whether it's their Bills, Zubas, golf polos, this beautiful Sabres Buffalo trucker hat, the Buffalo NHL Shield throwback trucker hat, the Stefan Diggs, Stefan 316 shirt and hoodie. They have a lot of cool stuff on there. Go check them out at Buffalo Logo Co. on Instagram and Twitter. And even though nobody won on the giveaway tonight, we debuted the new Return of the Levi shirt and hoodie at buffalogo.com tonight. I thought it was no better time than when Devin Levi debuted in the goat head jersey for the first time. No better time than to drop that piece of merch than tonight with Buffalo Logo. Go check them out at Buffalo Logo Co. on Instagram and Twitter, at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter. Go check it out. And tell them the boys from Two Goalies, One Mic sent you. Hurls, as always, thanks for hopping on. And to all of you who spend your time in the chat with us after games, for all you newcomers, thanks for stopping by. Hope to have you back. For people like Dylan Baker, Mauricio, Kevin, Chris Durick, all of you guys, thank you for always. Robert, just give you all shout outs. Chris, I already said Chris, Rakeem Davis, Iron Newf, Mauricio, of course, we can't forget you, the Black Knight, all of you. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with us. You're the reason we do this. It's like therapy. So I'll hang up and listen. I'll talk to you guys later. And go Sabres.